I always have to stop and try to define the meaning of love in this area. Agape is more than friendship. Agape is not something affectionate. Agape is understanding, creative, redemptive goodwill for all men. It is an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. Theologians would say that it is the love of God operating in the human heart. When one rises to love on this level, he loves men not because he likes them, but he loves every man because God loves him.
I would definitely encourage anyone to come here. It kind of gave me a new insight as to what the civil rights movement is.
It's an experience that you kind of won't get anywhere else. You can read online, and seeing everything that's centered around him here is really, truly a special experience.
I think those tragedies are really a cornerstone to helping to prevent future ones.
Daddy said that the philosophy and strategy of nonviolence must become immediately a subject for study and serious experimentation in every field of human conflict, by no means excluding relations between nations.
Mercantile for the beloved community.
Dengan sarang gadekan community.
Sisi ni watu wa Kenya, Afrika, tunapenda watu wetu.
Manamandaramu Vasudhaika Kutumbam.
All is one.
Telugu.
All is one family.
We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We are made to live together because of the interrelated structure of reality.
It teaches you about the importance of virtue and the importance of being and doing the right thing regardless of what others are doing around you, and to not resent them for it, but to rather inspire them to do better.
We must change our attitude. We must change our direction. We must break the vicious cycles that we have been on and turn in another way. Divisive discourse, divisive rhetoric. Guard your heart in this season, because God is calling us to an elevated place. We can't stoop so low. As other people, we must rise with dignity and discipline in everything that we do. The movement continues in another generation, and we will get to the promised land.
I mean, it really struck me when the little girl, she said, "Why are blacks and whites still separated?" I just mean, it broke my heart. I almost cried. And I realized that the world isn't really changed yet. We still have a long way to go. And there's so much more that we can improve and progress that we need to do. It's helping younger kids realize, that this new generation, that we can change the world. We can make the world a better place if we really try.
So as we go forward, I leave you with the words of that song, "Walk Together, Children. Don't you get weary. Work together, children. Don't you get weary. Struggle together, children. Don't you get weary. Fight together, children. Don't you get weary. Hold on to each other together, children. Do not get weary. Fuss, fight, but get over it together, children. Do not get weary, but don't forget to pray together, children, because you will get weary, and one day we'll all be able to join with Martin King and say, "Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are all free at last."
everybody. Welcome to this year's event. I'm truly excited. My name is Sierra Fly Bobo, and today you are welcome to the Beloved Community Global Summit. Matter of fact, today we're focusing on the youth. So this is the Youth Summit. I'm truly honored to be here today. I am one of the Nonviolence 365 trainers here at the King Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And we have an amazing program scheduled for you today. I can't wait for you to hear all of our speakers, all of our guests, as well as we're going to do a brief presentation on the 6 principles and the 6 steps of Nonviolence 365. And then a little after that, we'll also have an amazing panel that will be moderated by Cameron Friend. But again, welcome to this year's Global Summit, the Beloved Community Global Summit, Youth Summit. So I'm excited to be here today. Again, my name is Sierra Fly Bobo, and I'm getting ready to actually introduce one of our main sponsors this year, which is none other than the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Amara Kennedy. How you doing today, Amara?
I am doing great. I can tell you, I am equally feeling as excited as you are, because what we know is that thousands of young people from across the globe are joining in with the King Center family to embark upon the next step of their journey as change agents.
Yes.
And, I have to tell you, first let me say it is my honor to be here on behalf of AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And AIDS Healthcare Foundation is the world's largest nonprofit public health organization with a focus on not only addressing the HIV/AIDS epidemic globally, but also with being a leading voice for the voiceless in 45 countries across this globe. And so we know firsthand what it means to be in challenging situations, what it means to feel like your voice can't be heard. And equally as important, we know firsthand what it means for this next generation of change agents to take the baton that is being passed to them and to continue forward to truly build this beloved community. I will say I was blessed and honored to be a young person growing up in the trenches of the programming of the King Center. And a special, special thank you to my dear friend and sister and fearless leader, Dr. Bernice A. King, for continuing the legacy and the work of her father, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and her mother, Coretta Scott King. It is this programming, like you are experiencing today, that will be a transformative moment in your life, in your journey, as you continue forward to change not only the face of our country, but our globe. So AHF is so proud and so honored to support this effort, as we know that there will be great things in store from these thousands of young people that are a part of this Global Youth Summit. We're proud to partner with our dear friends over at the Points of Light Foundation to be a part of this moment in time and this moment in history. And again, to all the young people, I say, the future is in your hands. Transformation is only a step away, and today is the first part of that journey. So God bless you. Have a fabulous summit, and we look forward to joining with you in this great conversation.
Thank you again so much for being one of our title sponsors. It means a lot to us, and for you to really pay it forward. Empowering our young people is something that's definitely always on the hearts and minds of our current CEO, Bernice A. King. So thank you guys again for being our title sponsor. We really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. This is one of the most impactful things we will do in this period of history. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy the summit.
Same today, and happy 92nd birthday to our beloved fearless leader and ancestor, Dr. King.
Yes, happy birthday, Dr. King. Today is January 15th, which is the official birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we just truly appreciate his service, because he truly was a servant leader that served the community and the people, and he definitely was a drum major for justice. So happy birthday, Dr. King.
Happy birthday, Dr. King.
Yes. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you so much again, and we appreciate you guys for all you did for us and its Youth Summit today.
Thank you, Fi.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So listen, guys, we have a lot of great things planned for you today. Shout out to all the young people that are watching. I'm really excited that you guys are joining us today. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss it. If you know any young people that you can get them to log on right now, please invite them in to log in, because listen, we have some great things in store for them today. Now I'm getting ready to turn it over to someone that I am really honored and proud to introduce, who is our current CEO of the King Center, as well as the fourth child of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mrs. Coretta Scott King. There's so many things that we could say about her as far as her accolades and her achievement. But when I met Miss Bernice A. King about 10 years ago, what I loved about her is I was a very radical young person at the time, and she just really had a heart for young people. I was pretty edgy, but she didn't judge me. She still took me under her wings as a mentor, and she's been doing that for 10 years now, and I'm so grateful. And so my introduction to her is really, she's one of the voice for the younger generation to bridge the gaps between generations. And she's taught me the value of sitting at the feet of my elders. And so I love you, Miss King, and I want to introduce you to everybody. Welcome to the Youth Global.
I love you, Sierra Fly Bobo. How about this? You're edgy with a finesse now. How about that?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. You don't want to lose. You don't want to lose edginess. You just got to finesse it some. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what you are. And I know this probably is not appropriate, but Fly has been dressing me lately. She has a clothing line, a fashion line, and I just want to thank her for her work and putting clothes on my body. She didn't design this, because today I'm representing my sorority. Today is our anniversary, and so happy Founders Day to my ski week sisters, my sorors. And of course, our vice president-elect is an AKA, so shout out to my soror vice president-elect Kamala Harris and all of the AKAs around the world. And Sierra, thank you for dressing me with that June Marie brand. And I'm just honored to be here with this generation. I've been in your generation. And what I mean by that is all of us have been through that time period where we're trying to figure out the world. We want to change the world. We want to do some exciting and wonderful things. We want to be able to grow up and not have to worry about so much stuff that is overwhelming and stressful. And I just want to speak to you for a moment, because this Beloved Community Global Summit is designed for each and every one of you. We're coming into your homes. We're coming into the places where you are gathered right now around whatever screen you may be looking at. And I know that when you look at the world as it is today, for some of you, you're angry. In fact, you're pissed off and you're hot and you want to do something with that anger. Some of you are worried. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't have any hope for the future. You've kind of given up on whether we're going to have a brighter future. Some of you are fearful. You're scared. What happened at our nation's capital? That was a scary moment. But we've had scary moments in the Black community for a long time. So this just has amplified the fear for you. Some of you are depressed. This stuff has taken you to a very deep, dark place. And we're calling you out of that depression today because there's hope. There's hope. I want you to know you're not the first generation who has had to face darkness, evil, meanness, injustice, inequity, racism. Generations before faced it in very intense ways, and they overcame. And they overcame because they had a vision. Harriet Tubman had a vision for her freedom. She saw a place where she would not be in those chains. She would not be shackled. And she believed it so much, she was willing to put her very life on the line, not only for herself to be free, but for other people to be free. And so there's an old saying. The saying is, without a vision, people perish. I'm saying that to you as a young person. With everything that's happening in our world today, you got to be able to capture all that, and you got to be able to have a vision. Because if you don't have a vision, you'll be all over the place. You'll be drawn into all kind of stuff, trying to deal with your anger and your fear and your worry and your depression. You start doing all kind of stuff. So today, this Beloved Community Summit is about the vision of the beloved community. We want to draw you into that. We want you to be able to grab hold of what it means, that you use all of that energy that's inside of you, those emotions that are raging inside of you, that have you tossing and turning, having you maybe even confused, have you frustrated, and say to you, you can channel that energy now, because we're welcoming you to the beloved community. You can make a difference in this world as a member of the beloved community. You are significant. You are valuable. You are important. You are a person that is worthy to be treated with dignity. And you have the energy and the ingenuity and the drive to create a more just, humane, equitable, peaceful, and sustainable world. And we're depending on you, because every generation that is young, every young generation always changes the world. So just put your hand on yourself. I'm a world changer. I'm a world transformer. I am a beloved community member. Young people have been at the forefront of creating social change and doing my father's movement. My father, you all, was 39. I'm older than my father lived to be. I'm 57, about to be 58. I know I look good. I know. Come on now. You get that profile going on here. But anyway, my father was 26. He was younger than Fly is when he started that movement. I said that wrong. When he was catapulted and drawn into the leadership of that movement, because women really started the movement. They're the ones that gave the idea of the boycott. And they asked my father, groups of people in Montgomery, to be the leader and the spokesperson. But those were young people. And over the years, it's been young people. No movement for social change, no movement to make our world a better place has changed without young people. You're it. You're the ones we've been waiting for. But I got to tell you, what you hear tonight is going to be vital, because the only way we're going to be able to move our world out of darkness into light, the only way we're going to make sure we're not continuing down a descending spiral, as if we grab hold of the pathway to creating a beloved community, which is Nonviolence 365. And I'm so delighted that Fly and Cameron and others are going to join us in talking about how we get there and how we live in this world house, keeping our eyes focused on the vision of the beloved community. Back to you.
Thank you, Ms. King. You see why she's my mentor, man. She dropped all those nuggets, those jewels. We appreciate you so much. Again, that was our CEO, Miss Bernice A. King, that just really stirred us up and just reminded you young people that you guys are world changers. You know, you're world transformers, and you are a member of the beloved community. And we want to continue to talk about that a little more. But now I want to introduce our next speaker, who's actually going to introduce someone else. But I'm really excited about, our partnership with Points of Light. And so she's getting ready to come introduce somebody very special from there. Can you guys, if you're I know we're all virtual right now, but I'm full of energy. So I always say, make some noise or give it up or something like that. But if you guys can give it up for Sharia Venkat. Hi, Sharia, how you doing?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is just so exciting for me.
Yes. Welcome. I know you have the task of introducing somebody very special. So I'm gonna turn it over to you and allow you to do your thing.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm Shreya Venkat, 18-year-old freshman at Georgetown University and the co-founder and CEO of Nest for Us. And I'm also a proud member of the Points of Light Youth Network. And today, I'm pleased to introduce Ms. Natalie Paquin, President and CEO of Points of Light. Natalie Paquin is a graduate of Florida A&M University, a historically Black college and university, which instilled values she has carried with her throughout her career and leadership journey. After attending DePaul Law School, She started her career in litigation, then transitioning to become a civil rights attorney with the U.S. Department of Education. She spent 15 years in the education sector in legal and executive leadership roles. Her career in nonprofit began when she was a volunteer. She describes herself as having a volunteer spirit and a servant's heart. And after spending time volunteering at the Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts, she became the Chief Operating Officer. She continued her nonprofit career at Girl Scouts, where she was first CEO of Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania, and later Chief Transformation Officer for Girl Scouts of the USA, the largest global volunteer organization. And now she is president and CEO of Points of Light, which inspires, equips, and mobilizes people to take action that changes the world. She has helped Points of Light bring to focus on the power of people and the light within us all. Please join me in welcoming Miss Natalie Paquin. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sharia, thank you so much. That was really a wonderful introduction. It's nice to see you again, and I know your sister Isha will be participating in this program. I have to say thank you to Dr. Bernice King for her always just inspiring remarks, and she reminds us of our purpose. And so thank you so much, Dr. King, and thank you, Sierra, for hosting and being the facilitator here. So, I would say good afternoon to all of you. Good evening. I know we have people joining us from all around the globe, and I'm really grateful to be here on behalf of Points of Light. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Points of Light, we're a global nonprofit focused on volunteerism and civic engagement. We work with corporations, individuals, and nonprofits all around the world. What's important about Points of Light, a part of what's important is our belief system. We believe that every action matters and that no action is too small. And we know that many of you are doing amazing work around the country, around the globe, and in your communities. As a matter of fact, a couple of the people who will join you today are Daily Point of Light Award recipients. You heard from Sharia, her sister Isha Venkat, and also Avi Gupta will be joining you. At Points of Light, we like to lift up people who are doing good work, and so we would encourage you to go to our website, and hopefully someone will nominate you for Points of Light recognition, or you can recognize someone else in your community so that we can continue to shine the light on people who are doing good to make this world a better place. One thing that we did recently at Points of Light is we conducted some research around civic engagement, and that research was it was parsed out by generations, and so the generations included your generation, Gen Z, as well as older generations, the millennials, my generation, and others. And one of the things that we learned from the research is that you young people, your generation, you are the most active leaders in our communities. And you are telling us that you will not accept the world the way we are handing it to you, that you want to change the world, you want to make it better, you want to make a difference in the world. And so just as Dr. Bernice King stated, you're members of the beloved community, and we're really excited and inspired by the work that you are doing. We're thrilled to have you here, learn more about the work, and we believe in a quote that Dr. Martin Luther King said, which is, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And so we look at you as members of the Points of Light community as well. We know that you have the courage and the resolve to shine the brightest lights in your community and get together with other Points of Light to increase your power, which is why I'm glad to welcome you here today. at Points of Light, we do have a conference ourselves this summer. It will be online, and as well as a part of it will be in Orlando, Florida at Disney World. And we hope to hear from and see many of you so that you can share these principles, the beloved community principles, with other leaders around the world. So thank you again for joining us. You could be anywhere today, but you choose to be here. And thank you, Sharia, for that warm introduction. And thank you to the King Center for this important work.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you again, Ms. Paquin, and also Sharia. Great intro, by the way. And thank you guys for the work you're doing over there at Points of Light. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best with your events this summer. And so thank you again for joining us and being a part of the King Center's Beloved Community Global Youth Summit this year. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So listen, guys, I'm super excited. You guys have already heard from some amazing speakers. And now you're kind of stuck with the task of hanging out with me for a little while. I hope that's okay. But we're going to talk about some cool stuff. Matter of fact, I'm going to put some slides on the screen. And again, this is the opportunity for young people to really get exposed to what we call our philosophy and methodology over here at the King Center, as well as or a short way of saying it is kind of like the way we think and the way we like to move. You know, it's the things that we stand on, and it's the guidelines that we follow when we're trying to bring about sustainable change in the world and in our lives. And so we're going to go over for a little while the 6 principles and 6 steps of Nonviolence 365. Why do we call it Nonviolence 365? How many days are in a year? 365, right? And so we believe that Nonviolence 365 is a lifestyle. It's not something that you do only during the King holiday, which of course we do want to make sure we exemplify these types of principles and skills and mindsets during the King holiday, but actually we want this to be something that you adopt as a lifestyle, something that you say, you know what, I could see myself doing this any day. I subscribe to this way of thinking every day, no matter if I'm playing video games, if you're on your PlayStation, or whether you're playing your Xbox, whether you're on a basketball team, football team, a cheerleader, whether you're currently doing an internship or you're in your college courses, no matter what part of life you're engaging in, this is something that we subscribe to in our relationships with our friends and our relationships with our family, you know, anything. So here is what we're going to tell you about today, or what I'm going to teach you about today, which is the 6 principles of nonviolence. Feel free to tweet about it, put it on your Snapchat, even if you want to make a TikTok video about it, whatever. Feel free to just chat about it on YouTube or here in our Facebook community, wherever you are watching this at. Feel free to reshare these principles and steps, because we want to get this word out as much as we can to help us spread the word that nonviolence is the way, because that's what we believe here at the King Center. So I'm going to go over the 6 principles of nonviolence. All right. We kind of wrote down what a principle is. It's a fundamental truth. It's something that you stand on. You know, it's something that you believe firmly in. It's a foundational truth that you say, you know what, this is my value. This is what I believe. This is what I stand on. All right. That's another way of putting it. So let's go to the next slide, which is principle 1. We're going to pull out a word from that principle, and the word is courage. All right. I know you're at home right now and I can't feel your energy, but if you're at home right now and you feel like just talking, I want you to just yell out courage. All right. Courage. All right. Go to the next slide. Why the word courage? Because we believe here, principle 1 is nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. All right. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. Some of you may not know me. Most of you probably don't know me. Again, I go by the name of Fly as a nickname, a name of affection. But growing up in the urban side of Atlanta, I was kind of taught that violence was the way you solve problems. Matter of fact, it was almost, you were considered to be a punk if someone disrespected you and you didn't disrespect them back. So back then I had a law or a principle or a law that I stood on as my foundation was, if you disrespect me, it's my duty to disrespect you back. And I thought it took courage to be disrespectful. But the more that I was exposed to nonviolence 10 years ago, when I was introduced to Dr. King's philosophy here in Atlanta, I realized that it actually takes more courage to be nonviolent. It takes more courage to respond in love when somebody's disrespecting you or responding in hate, right? So the more I realized, man, the strength that it took for people, even during the civil rights movement back in the 60s and the 50s, the strength that it took for them to stand in the face of unjust treatment and still respond in love and courage and still stand for what was right. I was like, man, that takes a lot of strength. And so that's why we believe here that nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people, because it's not easy. It takes a lot of strength to respond to hate with love. And so that's the one word I want you to take away from principle one. Now, people say, oh, nonviolence is for people that are soft. No, 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 no. I think that's quite the opposite. Nonviolence is for people that are strong and very courageous. So the word that I want you to take from principle one is courage. All right. Now going to the next slide, principle two. All right, here's the word I want you to think about. Community. Here's the thing. You keep hearing us say the beloved community, the beloved community. What do we mean by that? Basically, what we believe is that if we subscribe to nonviolence as a way of lifestyle and a way of life, that if we continue to approach conflict, because here's the thing about conflict, it's normal, it's going to happen. Even with your sisters and brothers in your house, you have conflict. Sometimes the conflict is, how long did you stay in the bathroom? You're staying in the bathroom too long. You're eating up all my chips. There's a lot of things that may come up as far as conflict. Conflict is normal. However, the goal is, if we are able to reconcile our conflict non-violently, we can build a better community, what we call the beloved community, which has, what does the beloved community have in it? Love, justice, peace, those type of things, right? So here's principle two. Here's the next slide. So the principle two is saying, hey, we could go to the next slide. Nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. Nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. So even when you're in the midst of a conflict, even now if you're playing a sport right now, and maybe one of you and your teammate got into it at practice, the goal is not to defeat your teammate or to win over your teammate, as far as like to beat, like to take advantage of them, humiliate them, is to win them over to, to understanding, and also to maintaining your friendship. So nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. I want to understand your perspective. I heard someone break down love like this: LUV. Matter of fact, it was Will Smith, the actor. He broke it down like LUV. And he said L stands for listening, U stands for understanding, and V stands for validating. A lot of times when we're in the middle of a conflict, we don't seek to understand the other person. We just seek to be understood. And it's very vital that you take out time and you say, you know what? I'm mad at my friend right now, but let me understand her perspective, where she's coming from. Let me seek to understand before I assume, before I accuse, and before I speak so quickly that I haven't sat down and listened and just really understood their perspective. So that's what we believe here at Nonviolence 365, that nonviolence, we always seek to win friendship and understanding. All right, going over to the next slide, number 3. The next keyword I want you to think about is focus, right? So now we have already had courage. Okay, it takes courage to be nonviolent. All right, we always want to make sure that we're moving closer and closer to the beloved community, which means that you're going to have to listen, seek friendship and understanding. Now we're moving on to 3, focus. You have to focus. What are we talking about? What do we mean by focus? Here we go. Next slide. This is what we mean by focus. Principle number 3, nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice and not people. I'm going to say that again. Nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice and not people. What do we mean by that? All right. So say, for instance, you're having a conflict or an issue with someone calling you out of your name, maybe even a racial slur, right? Here's the thing. In Nonviolence 365, our goal is not to go beat up the person that called you out of your name, right? Our goal is to defeat the injustice that created the circumstances for us to be called out of our name. But by defeating a person, just that person alone for calling you out the name, you didn't solve the problem. All right. The problem is much bigger than that one particular person calling you out of your name, especially when it comes to like racial slurs and things like that. It's so much bigger than if you defeat that one person, you're not ending racism. All right. So we focus our attention on what really matters. If the goal is to make sure that no one at school is being called out our name, we attack the system and put our energies on, hey, how can we change the system so that this is not an issue at our schools, right? Versus trying to go fight that one person. Now you get suspended. Now they're in trouble, you're in trouble, but you didn't solve the issue of people being bullied at school. So we attack the real issue, which is bullying at school, versus just beating up the one bully that violated you or made you feel bad or anything like that. That's what we believe here in nonviolence. We focus our attention on changing the root of the problem and not just attacking people. We don't attack people at all. We don't believe that attacking a person solves a problem, because it really doesn't. If you really think about it, attacking of one person doesn't solve the problem at all. So we focus our attention on what is the unjust thing that's happening here and the injustice here. How do we solve that? That's how we focus our attention. So number 3, the key word you take it from it is focus. Focus on attacking the injustice and not the people, okay? We don't attack people here. All right, next slide. Number 4, sacrifice. All right, sacrifice. All right, here's principle 4. Next slide. So nonviolence believes that unearned suffering is redemptive. I know this one could sound a little tricky, but we're going to break it down a little bit. Nonviolence believes that unearned suffering is redemptive. Nonviolence holds that suffering can educate and transform. Here's another way of saying it. Nonviolence accepts suffering without retaliation. Woo! I'm going to say that again because I know that was a lot, right? That was a lot. Principle 4 is saying that nonviolence accepts suffering without retaliation. All right? A lot of times I like to add this to it in order to achieve a goal. I'm willing to suffer without retaliating towards you for doing something wrong to me in order to achieve a goal. I'll give you a prime example. Let's say high school, because I know we have middle school and high school students with us today. So say, for instance, you're a senior. Before we went into virtual learning, right? When you were still physically in schools. Say, for instance, you're a senior. Someone does something disrespectful or says something disrespectful to you. This is a very critical semester for you. Matter of fact, if you don't pass all your classes this semester, it could jeopardize you graduating on time, right? So at this moment, you have a choice. Your choice is, I can retaliate to the person that was being disrespectful towards me and jeopardize me graduating on time, or I can go through other parameters to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because here in nonviolence, we're not telling you to let people abuse you and mistreat you and just take it. No, we're not saying that at all. We're saying stand up for things that are unjust. Stand up for justice. However, don't do it in a violent way. Do it in a non-violent way, right? And so that's what we're saying. And so in that moment, you can retaliate and be disrespectful and now possibly get suspended or something happens and now you're jeopardizing graduating on time. Or you can stay focused on not attacking, going back to the last principle, not attacking the person, but attacking the injustice and making sure that, you know what, in order to achieve my goal of graduating on time, I'm going to accept this suffering. Now, people may talk about you, oh, you saw, you're this, you're that. You went and told the teacher or whatever you had to do in order to make sure you were safe in the midst of making sure you also didn't retaliate. Remember, I told you again, now violence takes courage. So sometimes you may not respond the way most people want you to respond, and that may cause people to talk about you. But when you have courage and you're very secure in who you are, you can stand strong in your principle and understand that me graduating is more important than anything that anybody could say about me, right? So that's principle 4. Again, nonviolence believes that unearned suffering is redemptive, all right? Going over to the next principle. And I know I'm going through these kind of fast, but this is just like almost like an appetizer. We're just wetting your palate a little bit. If you want to learn more about the 6 principles and 6 steps, please pay attention to the King Center's website. We do have an academy here, the Camp Now Leadership Academy, that is designed just for young people, where you could come in and learn more from us and go in a little deeper, even more deeper on these principles and steps. All right. So principle 5, goodwill. All right. Goodwill. That's the key word I want you to take out of this one. Moving on to the next slide. All right, principle 5, nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. I've been talking about this a little bit already, right? But nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. It sounds very simple, but it can also be very tough to do, right? And the love that we're talking about is agape love, which means unconditional love. Like, you didn't have to do anything to deserve my love. I'm going to offer it to you because of my love for humanity and the goodwill of who you are as a human being. So even when I feel like hate may be coming my way, I'm going to choose love. I'm always going to choose the unconditional agape type of love towards you. This, again, takes, principle one, a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to respond. But not only will I not hate you in return if you're giving hate towards me, but I also won't allow that hate to poison my spirit or my heart, right? Because when I hate you, it's almost like me drinking poison, because it begins to tear away at the integrity of my heart. So I'm not even going to be violent towards my own spirit by allowing myself to come so low to hate somebody, right? So that's why we're here at the King Center. We believe that nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. We believe that love is the greater force. We believe that love always wins, right? All right, so moving on to the next slide. Here's the last principle that we stand on, all right? This is the foundation on how we stand as believers and practitioners of Nonviolence 365. Last but certainly not least, faith, all right? Am I talking about a religion? No, I'm just talking about a belief, all right? A belief, faith. Moving on to the next slide. Principle 6, nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice, right? This is our belief. We believe that nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice. And if we are nonviolent practitioners and we stand up for what's just and what's right, we'll win. Justice always wins because we believe that the universe is on the side of justice. Here's another way of saying it. You can see the point below. The nonviolent resistor has deep faith that justice will eventually win. This is why we keep going. This is why we keep standing up for what's not right. And we are standing up against what's not right and standing up for what is right. Because we believe that justice will always win. We believe that the universe is on the side of justice, and whatever is out of balance, it eventually get right back into balance. So that's our faith. That's what we're rooted in. This is what keeps us going when times gets hard. This is what keeps us going. And when every time we turn around, like kind of like what we experienced in 2020 and even recently, every time you turn around, you see it seems like another unjust thing is happening to someone. But we don't give up. Why don't we give up? Because we have faith. That's the key word that I want you to take out of Principle 6, faith. We just believe, you know what? If I continue to stand up for what's just, if I continue to stand against what's unjust, and if I continue to do it in a nonviolent spirit and way, justice will always win. And that's our belief here at the King Center. And that is a brief introduction to the 6 principles of Nonviolence 365. All right, I know that was a lot. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to take a breath with me. On the count of 3, we're just gonna inhale, and we're gonna exhale, and then we're gonna move on to part 2. All right, you guys ready? On the count of 3, we're gonna take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. All right. I know that was a lot. That was a lot. Again, I welcome you guys to come back this summer for our Camp Now Leadership Academy that is designed just for young people. And we go deeper, and we go in and we talk about practical ways, and we bring in some technology pieces, and it's really dope. And I hope you guys are able to come back. So please keep watching the King Center's website, thekingcenter.org, for more information about our Leadership Academy for young people. All right, moving on. Back to the slides. All right, now we're going to talk about, on the next slide, the 6 steps of nonviolence. The 6 steps. Okay, so what's the difference between the principles and the steps? Let me break it down for you like this. The principles are our foundation on how we think, how we believe, our mindset, right? That's the principles. It's almost like some of you may have a principle in your life, like don't be fake. I know a lot of people have that principle, like, I don't believe in being fake. I believe in being real, authentic. That's a principle that you stand by. Or you may have a principle like always be loyal. Some people have just, a principle of I tell the truth. I don't like to lie. That's a principle that you stand on. Those are the principles, the way of thinking, your foundation, your values. So those were the 6 principles of nonviolence. Now you're going to hear about the 6 steps. The 6 steps is almost kind of like your will, how you practically and physically respond to things and to conflict, right? This is how you practically and willingly respond to conflict, right? So step number 1, here we go. Information gathering. Now, in the midst of a conflict, like again, I told you earlier, conflict is normal. It happens. It even happens with those that you love the most, right? It's just a part of life. Conflict is a part of life. How you reconcile conflict determines if it ends good or it ends bad, right? So the first step to reconciling a conflict in a nonviolent way, number 1 is information gathering, right? You have to gather all the information. Do you know all the facts? I'm gonna give you a prime example. I had a friend one time. We were at school and she walked past me in the hallway and she didn't speak, but I spoke to her. Now, immediately, because I'm sensitive, I felt some kind of way about it. I'm like, oh, she acting different now. Now, mind you, she was walking with a new student. So I thought also, so now she has a new friend. She want to treat me kind of funny now, right? That's what I was thinking. Now, later at lunch, I saw that same student crying. Now that I see her crying, I began to seek out more information. Come to find out, someone in her family had died that day. So her not speaking to me wasn't personal. Her not speaking to me was more so something because of something she was personally going through. A lot of times, most conflicts can really be solved if you do step number 1 properly. Because a lot of times it's our perception of what we think may be happening, and we don't even know all the facts about a situation that can really escalate a conflict. So here at the King Center, we believe that first, before anything happens, gather all the facts. Gather all the facts about your perspective as well. Gather all the facts about the other person's perspective. Get all the information before you even go forward, all right? In that particular scenario, me gathering all the facts allowed me to not even have to feel any other type of way but compassion and empathy for my friend, all right? All right, so moving on to step number 2. All right, education. Education. You have to educate. When you're in the midst of a conflict, first, you gather all the information. Then 2, you educate. Who do you educate? All parties that are involved with the conflict. You make sure everybody understands all the details of the conflict. They know all the facts about the conflict. You have to begin to educate all parties involved. It's extremely important that everybody involved has all of the facts and details, okay? So that's step number 2. Step number 3, all right, personal commitment. What do we mean by personal commitment? In any conflict, a lot of times our emotions are triggered. That's for lack of a better phrase. Our emotions are triggered, and it's easy for us to want to maybe become violent, maybe want to say something violent. Because here's the things about violence. Violence is not just physically harming somebody, like punching somebody, kicking somebody, spitting on somebody or something like that. That's not just what violence is. Yes, those things are violent, but calling someone out of their name is violent. Denying people human rights is violent. There are several things that can be considered as violent. But in personal commitment, this is the time where you have to stay centered in those 6 principles that we talked about to make sure you stay grounded in the idea that I'm going to make sure that I reconcile this conflict non-violently. You have to keep your spirit strong, your soul strong, your heart strong, your mind strong, however you want to say it. You stay personally committed to the cause, and you stay personally committed to the journey of reconciling the cause non-violently. Now, a lot of ways I like to keep my soul strong is through music. I find a song that motivates me to keep going when times get hard. motivates me to keep focused on my goals. And one of my personal goals is to live a lifestyle of nonviolence. So music sometimes does that for me. Meditating, saying affirmations do that sometimes. For those that may believe in God, praying can help during this time. But personal commitment is very key and is something we subscribe to here at the King Center. All right, moving on. Step number 4. Now, you've information gathered, meaning you gathered all the facts. You've educated all the parties involved about all the facts and the details about the situation. Number 3, you're staying personally committed to the journey, to the cause, to standing up for what's just nonviolently, and you're keeping your spirit strong, right? Now, step number 4. Now, if you get to a point where whoever you're in the conflict with, y'all still aren't quite seeing eye to eye, you come sit down at a table of negotiation. The purpose of the table of negotiation is one thing, really, truthfully, is for you guys to walk away with a win-win situation. The table of negotiation is not about you coming to the table and demanding only what you want, not caring about the other person's perspective, not hearing their truths or anything like that. It's just all about you. No, at the table of negotiation, we want to see how can we create a win-win for both parties. It's not for me to come to the table and humiliate you, defeat you, show you that I'm better than you, cancel you. I know we're living in a world where cancel culture is popular, but that's not the goal of sitting at the negotiation table. The goal of the negotiation table is for both of our humanity to be lifted up and for justice to win. If that means it creates a win-win for both sides of the table. Now, unfortunately, sometimes at the table of negotiations, it doesn't always work. Some people can sometimes be irrational and they don't want to hear your perspective. And even though you may be willing to hear theirs, they may not want to hear yours. So there's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a loss, but it is not effective. So when it's not effective, then you can move on to step 5. We only move on to step 5 when negotiations fail. That's the only time we move on to step 5. Step 5 is direct action. That's where you have to do something non-violently to gain the attention of your opponent, whomever you're in the conflict with. So you see a lot of direct action on social media or on the news or on television. Examples of direct action: marching, protests, sit-ins, strikes. Those are examples of nonviolent ways to get your opponent's attention and draw them back to the table of negotiation, because that's the goal. We still want to get them back to the table so we can sit down and create that win-win. Because remember principle number 2, we still are seeking to win friendship and understanding. All right, we're not seeking to defeat them. We're seeking to win them over. Right. So that is step 5, and we only do step 5 when we've done all the other steps and negotiations failed, okay? Because sometimes you could get to the negotiation table and you guys create a win-win and you walk away and the conflict is over, right? But if that doesn't happen and the negotiations fail, then we move to direct action. Lastly, but not least, the most important one is step 6, reconciliation. You've heard me say this word several times now on purpose, really. The whole goal of it all is to get us to the Beloved community. That's why you guys are at the Beloved Community Youth Summit, right? Here's the thing. The goal is for us to reconcile. Reconciliation, so key. We want to get to the point where we get back to what Principle 2 is talking about, where we have that friendship and we have that understanding. Does that mean you have to be best friends? No. Everybody you get into a conflict with, the goal is not for you to be BFFs, right? The goal is for you to have respect and definitely respect and understanding and want the best for both sides to prevail in life. All right. That's what we're talking about. And that there's some type of harmony that has happened. There's justice is present in the midst of that reconciliation of that conflict. Right. That's what we want. Because at the end of the day, we still lead with love. And my love for humanity is say, I wish nothing but good for you. Even if you don't come to my birthday party, that's not always the goal, but I wish the best for you. I wish goodwill for you. I want the best for you. And I want to create win-wins with you as we live in this world house together. All right. So again, the 6 steps of Nonviolence 365. Number 1 information gathering. Number 2, education. Number 3, personal commitment. Number 4, negotiation. And if negotiations fail, then we go to steps 5, which is direct action. And again, the whole goal of it all is to get back to the table of negotiation so that we can ultimately reconcile, which helps us get closer and closer to the beloved community. I hope you guys enjoyed this very brief introduction of the 6 steps and the 6 principles of nonviolence 365. I'm getting ready to actually turn this program over to one of my friends and teammates here at the King Center, Mr. Cameron Friend, who is the Youth Millennial Engagement Coordinator. And he actually is one of the leaders of the Camp Now Leadership Academy here at the King Center that I was telling you guys about. And he could tell you a little bit more about that, but he actually is going to be coming on in a brief second to introduce the panel for our second portion of the Youth Summit today. So guys, thank you for joining me. I'm so excited again. My name is Sierra Fly Bobo, and I'm going to turn it over now for our next part of our presentations. Thank you.
Here's to those who give a damn, the ones who question the status quo and say we can do better. You don't wait to be invited to the table. You set your own table and bring people together. You believe great ideas can come from anyone, anywhere, no matter who you voted for, what you believe, the color of your skin, or who you love. Some might say you're a dreamer, but we think you're brave, because those who are brave enough to start a conversation that matters are the ones who co-create a better future for us all. It's time to come together.
Hello, I am Michael Weinstein, President of AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And on behalf of our over 6,800 employees in 45 countries that we serve, I want to say how pleased we are to partner with Dr. Bernice King and the King Center to present this beloved community summit. As a global public health organization for over 3 decades, AHF continues to be committed to our core mission of both providing quality health care to those living with HIV/AIDS and to being in the forefront of standing against hate and oppression of all types and advocating for the dignity, respect, and equity for all human beings, no matter their sexual orientation, racial, or gender identity. As we embark on this new year and work to rebuild the soul of this nation, the lessons and strategies of Dr. King provide a framework for the critical work that is still to be done. For it is ever more clear that, as stated by Dr. King, we are confronted with the fierce urgency of now, and in this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is no time for apathy or complacency. Over the course of last year, I was greatly encouraged by the inspiring leadership from young activists that emerged in communities across the globe. As this powerful summit has attracted so many young people with a profound concern around civil and human rights, I know that you will take the tools and deeper understanding of the lifestyle of Nonviolence 365 and commit yourself to doing your part to building the beloved community envisioned by Dr. King. The future of a more just and equitable world is in your hands, and we are counting on you. Have a great summit.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? I hope that y'all are having an amazing day, an amazing time. We are in the middle of our youth summit. We are in the middle of our youth summit, and this has been a wonderful day that we've had so far. So this next session that we have is going to be embracing Nonviolence 365 and helping to create the global beloved community. You see, in this session, we're going to examine how youth throughout the world are creating the beloved community in their homes, in their schools, and in their communities. All right. I'm excited. I've been excited all day. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start bringing in the panelists. First, we have Esther Abia. Esther Abia is going to join us. We have Esther coming in.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. You don't understand how excited I am to hear from you tonight. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for being here. All right.
No, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Then next we have Sienna Castellon. Sienna Castellon. I hope I said that right. Sienna's coming in.
Hi, so nice to meet you. So nice to be here.
Hi, great to see you. Welcome, welcome. All right, and then we have Eshav Benkat. Eshav Benkat.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. I want to make sure that I pronounce your name correctly.
It's Isha.
Isha. Okay, Isha. I got it. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, and then we have Avi Gupta. Avi Gupta.
Hey, how's it going, Cameron?
It's going well. It's going well. How's everything going?
It's all good out here. How are you guys? Esther, Sienna, Isha?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Doing good. Thank you.
Doing well.
Great, thanks.
And Avi, did I pronounce your name correctly as well?
You pronounced it perfectly.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. And then last but not least, we have Marcus Craig joining us. Marcus Craig.
Hey, everybody. How you all doing?
Good.
Good.
Doing well, doing well. All right, so this is the group. Here's the squad that we have compiled to talk during the Youth Summit today. Look, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I haven't really waited for this conversation all day because I know you all are doing some amazing things around the world, and I can't wait for you to introduce yourself to the rest of the world. So here's what we're gonna do. Tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, and also tell us about some of the great work that you're doing. And we're gonna start with Esther. Esther, go ahead, open up the door for us.
So, hey everyone, my name is Esther Abia, and I am a young Congolese Australian, and I am, apart from the physical obvious of being Black and female, I am a survivor of the detrimental effects of the Civil War, which killed millions of people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. I am based in Brisbane, Queensland, and I am on the land of the Turrbal and Yagara people's land. Inspired by my refugee background and inspired by the adoption of my siblings, I have transformed into a human rights activist. Last year, I founded the Advocacy Collective, which is a youth-led social justice project that aims to inspire and empower young people, young Australians, to be advocates and activists for refugees, asylum seekers, and minorities. And also, we do a lot of workshops at universities, schools, to share our experiences of being refugees and asylum seekers. And I'm also a committee member of Youth Voice Brisbane, which is a side project of Queensland Program of Assistance to Torture and Trauma. And we do a lot of things with the community to advocate for refugees and asylum seekers as well. And yeah, that's basically what I do.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And then let me see. Can we have Sienna? Can you?
Yeah, of course. My name is Sienna Castellon. I'm from the United Kingdom and I'm a neurodiversity advocate. I'm autistic, dyslexic, dyspraxic, and I also have ADHD. I had a very difficult school experience. I had to go to 10 different schools in total, and it led me to start my website, QL Mentoring, to support and mentor children who are neurodiverse. I then started Neurodiversity Celebration Week, which is a global campaign to flip the narrative and focus on the positives of neurodiversity instead of on the negatives. My campaign has over 633,000 students taking part worldwide. And I also work with the UN as an SDG Young Leader to just try to change many of the misconceptions around autism and learning differences and to empower children who are neurodiverse.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We obviously are deeply appreciative that you are here and spending time with us. And then Isha, can you tell us something about you as well and the work that you're doing?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Isha Venkat, and I'm 15 years old and a sophomore in high school from Northern Virginia, which is super close to DC. First of all, I would like to thank the King Center and Points of Light for giving me this amazing opportunity to be on the panel today with all the other amazing and inspiring panelists. I'm really, really thankful. And today I'm here as a member of the Points of Light Global Youth Network, as well as the co-founder and COO of Nest for Us, which is my nonprofit that provides volunteer solutions to the community to make the world better through kindness. And we do our part in our local, national, and global communities to just support and uplift each and every person we come across. And in just 4 years, we've grown from just me and my sister to a volunteer family, we like to call them our family, of over 1,000 who've altogether contributed over $650,000 in value of volunteer hours on projects ranging from feeding the homeless, tutoring kids, to making care packages, and everything else in between. And at Nest for Us, we really try to promote diversity and inclusion by providing opportunities for all ages and backgrounds to give back meaningfully and lovingly to the community. And we stand up and step up for society's most vulnerable populations in peaceful yet powerful ways to create our own version of the beloved community. So yeah, it's a little bit about what I do.
That's great. That is amazing, Isha. And then Avi, can you tell us something about yourself as well?
Yes, for sure. It's a hard act to follow all three of these amazing young activists. But my name's Avi. I'm 19. I'm a sophomore here at Stanford University. As you can probably tell, I'm broadcasting live from my dorm room here on campus. I'm super passionate about using technology and the power of social entrepreneurship to make an impact. So I guess 5 years ago now, I started Project 32. We're a nonprofit social startup that's run entirely by youth. And what we're all about is providing youth in underserved communities worldwide with both the resources and education to take control of their dental health. So that's toothbrushes, toothpaste, but also education about the importance of brushing your teeth and taking care of yourself. Because we believe, without health, it's hard to build the foundation for a healthy life and create that beloved community. More recently, during the COVID pandemic, I was also part of a team called LifeMech. We designed a low-cost, affordable, open-source ventilator during the COVID-19 pandemic that's actually been approved by the FDA. So I'm super passionate about using social entrepreneurship and technology development to help empower the youth of today to build a brighter future. And I'm super excited to be participating in this discussion with you, Cameron, as well as Esther, Sienna, Isha, and Marcus.
Wow. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then Marcus, can you tell us something about yourself as well and some of the work that you're doing?
All right, sure. So I'm Marcus Craig, 13 years old. I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland, which is also very close to Washington, D.C. Now, I'm new to this. Probably my second time being on the big stage, but previously I did a panel with the National Council of Churches on how to make a more equitable world, and I enjoy using social media to push messages on how we can all grow better as people and form a better world, and I can't wait to get it started.
Wow. Well, thank you for that, Marcus. And again, I want to thank each of you for making the time to be here with us today. I mean, this is going to be a special conversation. I know that the folks that are listening to this are highly anticipating an amazing conversation. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. So the way this is going to work is going to be very open conversation. Whoever would like to speak, they can begin the conversation. But just for the sake of it, Marcus, since you just got done, you can open us up when we go back to the questions. And so the first question that I have for the group is, what or who inspires you to create a more just, humane, equitable, and sustainable and peaceful world? Who are your inspirations, and what led to even kind of that awakening where you started doing the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I definitely have my father as a big role model that's in my life. I always see him trying to do great things in his community, whether that's stopping on the side of the road to help change a tire, going and fixing somebody's lights for free. Also, Dr. King, he's been a big inspiration. Yeah, please come back to me. I don't know what I want to say.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's great. Thank you for that, Marcus.
Yeah, and I definitely want to echo what Marcus said. Obviously, Dr. King's legacy, looms large in my journey to service, but also, like folks in my family. I remember distinctly. So my family's originally from India. And I remember one time I went back and I happened to be there on my birthday. So I was like, oh, what can I do on my birthday in India? And I remember my grandmother told me, your grandfather, before he passed on his birthday, he always wanted to do something for other folks. So I remember we bought a bunch of, biscuits and snacks and things like that and brought them to a local school for disabled children. And I think that would have been maybe my 12th or 13th birthday. And that to me was really eye-opening about the importance of giving back and how empowering it is not just to you, but in building a better community. I firmly believe that kind of we're only as strong as those most vulnerable among us as a global community. And so I've, always tried to just use all the knowledge and resources and opportunities that have been given to me to give back. And that's a legacy that's inspired by Dr. King, by Gandhi, all the great humanitarians and civic leaders before them, but also by folks in my own family and all these great youth activists like those on this panel.
I guess for me, since I grew up in a refugee camp, I experienced firsthand what it's like, living in a refugee camp. Most families were living in houses made out of mud and hay. Children had no education. Food was relied heavily on the Red Cross and the United Nations. And I experienced all of this, and I witnessed, and I was also one of those people that, were living in those conditions. And so for me, I guess what has really inspired me to create a more just, humane, and equitable and sustainable and a peaceful world is, all those people that I have met along the journey, my story as well. And also, yes, as everyone has echoed before me, Martin Luther King, he wanted a world that transcended across race. And so for me, looking at him and seeing that he started a movement, he made an impact, and he changed the way society functioned, has also really inspired me to do the same, to have other people advocate and be activists for refugees, asylum seekers, and minorities, some of the most vulnerable people in our society.
I would say for me, it was really, the great advocates. I remember reading Martin Luther King's speeches and just being so inspired by him. And then later, when I went through lots of discrimination at school, I just kind of reconciled myself to the fact that that's what disabled people go through. And that's normal, and that's just going to be a part of my life and a part of my experience. But then just kind of thinking back on all these advocates that I've kind of read about, I watched a lot of Malala's speeches, Temple Grandin as well, and just kind of realizing that you can make a difference, even if you're young, even if you're not naturally an advocate. And that I found incredibly inspirational, because a lot of the time when people are telling you that you're nothing, that you're not going to graduate from school, that you're not going to have a career, that your voice doesn't matter, it's very easy to believe that, and then to just sit in silence and let people mistreat you and discriminate against you. But kind of hearing all those advocates and how they rose to their position really inspired me.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with all the other panelists. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is so inspiring. Mahatma Gandhi, all these amazing civic leaders and advocates for justice and equality and peace have definitely inspired me. Learning about them at a young age and just being exposed to everything and learning from them, their principles and their morals and everything, that was definitely really inspiring to me to go out there and create something for the world, as well as my family. Ever since I was young, giving back to the community was something I did all the time with my family. My mom would take us along to volunteer at her school, community events, even back in elementary school. And that was when I was really introduced to that world of community service. And the giving spirit hasn't just been with me and my sister. It's always been in my family for generations, kind of like what. And I remember my parents would always share some of my family service stories with us, and just everything that they were doing back in India. And, learning about all that and those experiences with my sister and my family, and ever since I was little, definitely helped me to be where I am today. My parents have really raised me to be a positive person and inspired me to step up and stand up for those who feel most alone in this world by creating Nest for Us. And they taught me that we're all human and we're all brought to this world for a reason, and that having an equal opportunity to make a difference in causes you're passionate about is the first step to creating lasting peace. And now, 4 years later, I can pass on these same messages to my volunteer team, which we have from all over the globe. And that's something that I really, really love. And I'm so thankful that my parents have taught me all of this, as well as all those civic leaders and activists out there doing good work, for inspiring the next generation of youth to step up and make a difference and create lasting change.
Well, thank you all for your answers there. And to each of you, you all have already accomplished so much in your life already, so much. You've already done some amazing things. You've overcome individually some really difficult obstacles to get to this point. But oftentimes, young people, just as talented as you are, they feel discouraged. They don't feel like they can step out and become leaders. They don't feel like they have something to give in order to take that place of leadership, to build a beloved community. So for you, what do you think it is? Like, what do you think it takes for someone when they're young, when they're still in middle school, they're still in high school, they're early college? What does it take for someone to be able to step out and say, you know what, I want to make that kind of a difference. I want to follow in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s footsteps. I want to make that kind of impression on the world. What would it take for someone to be able to do that?
Yeah, I can hop in here. I think just the fact that you're aware that you want to make a difference is an amazing start. Like, let me tell you sort of my story, how I got started with Project 32. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Project 32 is all about providing access to dental hygiene in underserved communities. And, you know, before this started, I hadn't really thought much about the issue. I brushed my teeth every day. Of course, I went to the dentist, but it never occurred to me that other folks didn't have these opportunities. That all changed in summer 2016 when I read an article that said in these government-run schools in India, you had, I think, one toothbrush being shared among 50 disabled children. And I thought about this, and this is the key point. A lot of us are aware of these issues in our community, these challenges that are posed to us. But I was able to sort of take a step, and it was a very simple step. I happened to be, you know, going to India with a family trip for a wedding a couple months later. And all I did is I just looked up every single dentist in my hometown of Portland on Yelp, and I emailed them. I said, hey, look, this situation is going on in India. I want to bring some toothbrushes and toothpaste there. Can you help me out? And I was beyond amazed, beyond surprised. I was expecting maybe, you know, 100 toothbrushes from all these folks. We got over 1,000. And so I got as many as I could fit into that duffel bag, and I brought it over there. But it was just that simple step of saying, okay, who can help me out in the community? How can I make a difference here? That led me to create this action. And I was so inspired by the experience I had there that I, you know, well, one, I had extra toothbrushes I couldn't even fit in the duffel bag to bring this. So I had to do something with them. And two, I wanted to continue to make a difference. And that's where the Project 32 came from. So my point is, you know, you don't have to solve a problem globally. You don't have to start a huge organization, make a fancy website, recruit thousands of volunteers initially. You just have to do something. And being aware of that problem exists is a huge step. And, you know, I think youth, especially with today's tools and technologies and the diverse perspectives we bring, have an incredible opportunity to make a difference. And I don't think you're ever too young to make an impact. And, you know, I think this group, as well as all the other folks I've gotten to know through the Points of Light Youth Network, which connects young civic leaders from around the world, has really taught me that folks just with their individual effort and compassion make a huge impact in building a more just, healthier, and sustainable world.
To add on, I would say you definitely have to have a why. You have to have a reason why you want to step up and act. And also you have to have, as Kobe Bryant would put it, that Mamba mentality, that mentality of I won't be denied whenever somebody tries to push you back down, whenever somebody tries to tell you that you're not good enough or oh, people won't listen to you. No, man, just go out there and do it.
Marcus, did you say a Mamba mentality?
Yes.
Can so for the sake of the people that are not Kobe Bryant fans like us, can you explain what the Mamba mentality is, please?
The Mamba mentality just means I won't be denied. I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed. I'm going to have that, quote unquote, if you will to win. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the best and to be noticed.
I love that. Marcus is dropping Mamba mentality quotes. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I guess if you have like an idea that has been burning in your mind for like the longest time, just go for it. Because I remember when I first started the Advocacy Collective, I was a bit hesitant. Should I start it? Should I not? And I remember I had my first ever meeting and I didn't really expect like a lot of people to show up. And there were like 10 girls showed up on the first meeting, and oh my God, it was just like the most incredible. We had the most incredible conversation. They were all girls from refugee and asylum seeker backgrounds. We were all sharing our stories, our experiences living in refugee camps, and also our experiences being in Australia. And yeah, I just realized I was so overwhelmed, and I was just like, wow, like imagine if I didn't like start this. Imagine if I didn't have like this meeting where we discussed about, you know, the potential of the advocacy collective. Yeah. So my advice would just be, you know, if you have like an idea that's been burning your mind that you see potential of creating change in the world and creating a positive impact in our society, just go for it, because you never know, you're going to impact so many people and you're going to change the lives of so many young people. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything Esther just said. You know, not being afraid to just go out there and start up something, believing in yourself and your dreams, your goals, your visions, your power. You know, no matter how old or young or rich or poor you are, you do have the ability to make a difference. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes doubt the ability of youth to make a difference because it's like, oh, they're just small kids, like what can they do? But really every action has such a huge impact and sparks change. Even just a simple compliment to someone, a smile to someone, that can change someone's entire day. And having that mentality has been super important for me, and really just seeing the impact that I've been able to make over these past few years. I never would have thought I've been able to do that in my wildest dreams. And I think just starting out, even if you do a simple thing and gather your friends with you, your family, you know, your school, your community, and starting off small. It doesn't have to be some grand gesture like Avi said. It can be something small. And I think knowing that you can help at least one person and give maybe 20 granola bars to somebody, you're giving them a meal, you're giving them care and love. And I think you don't have to always do some grand gesture and do something totally out of the world and out of the box. Just having that passion for giving back and wanting to make a difference in your community is a great start, and you should take that and run with it. And who knows what will happen.
Definitely. I mean, I think that a lot of advocates think that they have to start out very big and, you know, right off the bat be making a big difference, impacting many people's lives. But I think that not a lot of people think about the impact of just starting small. And, you know, if you can, I remember when I first started out, I was giving speeches to crowds of 4 or 5, I say crowds, to groups of 4 or 5 people. And, you know, for advocates who are beginning, I would just say to find a cause that you're really passionate about. For me, it was important that I had lived experience in the advocacy that I did. And that was something that really drove my passion, because I'd been discriminated against. I had to leave schools. I'd been told that I wasn't going to graduate, and I was kind of in a situation where I was really angry at the system and I really wanted to change it. And I was willing to, you know, be sending emails to people at 3 a.m. and sacrificing my time to really make a difference, because it was something that truly mattered to me. And so I would say it's important to find that cause for you.
Well, you know, I am containing a tremendous amount of excitement as I'm listening to you all, because there is so much inspiration that I am taking from this, that the audience is taking from this. Again, if you're in the audience and you have a question in particular you would like to ask, let us know. Maybe we might be able to get to one. But so one of the things I think that a lot of people struggle with, in particular younger people, is overcoming certain things that we might think to be deficiencies, to see things that we are not as good at, or we might not be as talented. You know, when I was born with a pretty major hearing loss. And I have over a 75% hearing loss in my right ear and a 70 in my left. And so for so long, I would not talk in public because I just did not want to be embarrassed. You know, I didn't want to be someone who, you know, I would hear someone talk and I would get it wrong and I wouldn't communicate right back to them what they said. And then it just made me feel like I was inferior, like I was inefficient, like I didn't have enough to be successful and to be great at something. So for you, what would you say to young people who, again, they might not feel like they are super talented. They might not feel like, you know, they might not even know what the cause is yet. But they know they have a burn in their heart to make change. They know they have something that they want to do, but they don't have the confidence. They may not have the people around them, the infrastructure to do those things. So if you could even just share some encouragement to other young people who want to do great things, who want to commit their life to service, what would you say?
I would say, like, honestly, you have that desire and you know you want to create something, reach out to people. And like on LinkedIn, for example, it's a great platform to, you know, connect with people. You know, you might be scared or they might not reply back to me, but you never know who's going to reply back to you and actually want to hear more about what you want to do, what you want to create, and who might actually be willing to help you out. I remember I sent an email out to the CEO of QPAS, and I told him all about QPAS, which is Queensland Program of Assistance to Torture and Trauma. And so I messaged him and I told him about my project, the Advocacy Collective. And I was like, hey, I've got this like project. I don't really know. I don't have the resources. I don't particularly know where I'm going to begin. And so he replied back to me, and he helped me out so much. Like, we did a plan for it, and now the organization is sponsoring my project. And so when you have that desire, just send out emails, and you never know who's going to reply back and who's going to be willing to be able to help you out, even if you don't exactly know how you're going to do the project, how it's going to work out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Oh,
go for it, Isha.
Okay, thank you. I definitely agree with Esther and what she said about just reaching out to people, especially in this day and age, right? With all the technology and social media, really using that to spread awareness, even if you're not sure if you want to create an organization or just getting awareness about an issue that you're passionate about. You know, spreading it on social media technology is a great way to start and just educate people on what you do, maybe get some volunteers, get some community support, just reaching out. And it's okay if you get no's the first couple times. You know, you get a few no's here, but then you're going to get a yes somewhere else. You know, if you at least reach out to 10 people, you might get a yes from one. And I think that is a great way to take it in a positive way, right? And just like, just being, reaching out to people, spreading awareness of your cause, social media, but also through word of mouth. You know, you have your school community, your friends, you can post flyers all around. Those were something that I did a couple years ago when we were first starting out. And, you know, we got people slowly but surely. And I think that's important to realize that you're not going to get all the support and everybody coming your way initially, right? It's going to take a while, and you just have to be patient and trust the process. It'll work out in the end for sure. And just using your voice to uplift other people is a beautiful thing. And if you really are passionate about doing good for the community and you're going out there and you're doing good for other people, good things will come your way. It's just the way the world works. So just be patient, believe in yourself, and just stay true to who you are.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, folks worry that they aren't talented enough, they aren't brilliant enough, they don't have some insane idea or, crazy infrastructure, experience building a website and an organization. That's fine. The desire to help, the willingness to help, that burn to serve in your heart, that is the most important talent beyond anything else. And, like folks have said, you can start small, right? Maybe there's a local homeless shelter in your town that needs volunteers, or a food bank. You can start a lemonade stand and donate it, coat drive, book drive. There's so many small things in your community, and that won't build a huge organization right away, but that's all right. It will start the journey, and every single step you take will bring us closer as a global community, creating that beloved community that Dr. King envisioned, right? It's not something that will be created in a day, maybe not even a year, maybe not in a lifetime, but every single step each of us takes makes a difference. And no matter how young you are, how old you are, how poor, rich, white, or black, any race, you have the opportunity to make an impact. And the very fact that you have the desire to serve, that yearning to make the community better, that in and of itself is by far the most important talent or qualification. And it's far more important than any other skill or learning or community you come from.
Yeah, I would say just use whatever tools you have, work with anything you have at your disposal, because most of us do start at the bottom, and I believe, as Isha said, just trust the process because it's a long process. People will come along, accolades will come along, but as long as you know you want to do something and you're trying your best, then there's no wrong way to do it.
Wow.
I would say, nobody's too small to make a difference. When you first start off, I would say start with social media. That was what got me through it in the beginning. I just connected on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter with every single person I could who was doing work similar to mine. And then I reached out to them and asked for opportunities, asked if they wanted to collaborate. I cannot underestimate the importance of networking and creating a community of like-minded individuals where you can, help each other in your advocacy. And I would also kind of echo what other people were saying with, don't write off opportunities. Just email anyone you want to email. I mean, I remember at the very beginning, I would find leaders of big organizations and I would think, oh, well, I shouldn't contact them because they're just not going to respond. I'm not going to waste my time doing that. And then a little later in my advocacy, I started just contacting people who I thought there was no way that they would contact me back, but little did I know I ended up getting, a few replies here and there, and those were the ones that really shaped my advocacy. And so just taking chances on opportunities and reaching out to people.
Wow. Well, all those answers were amazing. I'm gonna give a snap. My man Avi gave me that vibe, so I'm gonna go ahead and give all y'all a snap for everything that y'all said so far. So we have an audience question, and I'm gonna pick the one from Tracy L. Craig. And this is her question. She says, what feedback on activism have you received from your own peers? And has it been mostly positive or mostly negative feedback that you've gotten from your peers?
First off, I just want to say hi, Mom. Second, I've received a lot of good feedback from my peers because they notice that things need to change and they know that they want to step in and change too. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say for me, I was really surprised with just how the overwhelming support that I had from my community. Cause I wasn't really expecting to get that much, but yeah, it's been really, really positive. Like a lot of people in my community, like from primary school and also like high school and my church community have been really, really supportive of my project. And so, yeah, it's been so great because having such a community that sees the importance of your cause really uplifts you as well and really inspires you to keep on pushing and to keep on doing the work that you're doing because you're on the right path. So it's been great.
For me,
Yeah,
oh, sorry, you go first.
I mean, you can go, it's fine.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I've seen a bit of a split. I do neurodiversity work. And for people who are neurodiverse themselves, I've had really good feedback. I've had people contact me and say that I've shaped their confidence, I've shaped their school experience. Many people contact me and say that because of me, they were diagnosed with autism, or especially autism, because there are a lot of misconceptions around autism where women especially don't get diagnosed until much later in life. And so I've had many positive feedbacks and positive reviews from that, which makes me want to do my advocacy even more and is incredibly inspiring to me. But I've also gotten a lot of negative feedback from people who think that my work doesn't matter. Often they're neurotypical people and they think that neurodiversity is a very niche thing, or that people who are neurodiverse shouldn't be at school, shouldn't get reasonable adjustments. And for that, it's awful to hear, but it also inspires me more because I want to change those misconceptions, change those stereotypes, and I want to push the work I'm doing even further. Because this idea, I get it a lot, that neurodiversity is a niche thing, 20% of people are neurodiverse. It's incredibly common. And so people misunderstanding neurodiversity, people not getting diagnosed, and people not getting supported in school is a really big problem.
Yeah, I definitely have received a ton of positive feedback. which I'm really, really grateful for. Like Esther said, I never really expected to get so many people involved from schools and businesses, restaurants, all over the world, and it's just been so overwhelmingly positive and so nice, and not just from our volunteers, but also the people that we serve. Low-income families, homeless people, marginalized populations, underserved people, basically anybody and everybody that needs help, who we can help. And I remember one particular story and moment that really stood out to me was when we were serving at a local park to the homeless people on the streets in DC. And one of the homeless man, he came up to our volunteer team, and there was about like 10, 15 people going to serve that day. And he came up with this big stack of notes. So one of the things that we do in our organization is we write these positive notes, and we put them in a little bag with like toiletries and food, non-perishable food items, all these little things to just give them to eat, to just uplift them, all sorts of things. And those notes say messages like "Stay strong," "We are with you," "We love you," "Keep going," "You're not alone." And he came up to us with this big stack of notes, and he told us that he had kept all the notes that he had received from us from those bags all the years that we've been going to that park and serving. And that moment really showed me how this work is really impacting people, even just that one person, and how he told us that he takes them out and he reads them when he's having a bad day and he's feeling sad. And just realizing that our work is making an impact, a meaningful impact on people, and how it's getting a really positive response has been so amazing, even with news, media, awards, and just everything that we've received. I'm just so grateful for everything, and just a chance to uplift our work. And it's really important that people realize that they do have the power to make a difference, no matter, they don't need any special skills. They don't need to be an adult, have a job, be some kind of superhero, like Avi said, right? You just have to have that burn, that push, that desire to give back. And it's just been so amazing to see, my friends coming and volunteering at events. My family, we still volunteer to this day all together, even my great grandparents, my aunt, uncle, cousins, everybody. And it's just really nice to see this community of people of all different ages and backgrounds coming together and serving. And that's just so inspiring to see. And that really brings me hope for humanity in general, just seeing how all of us, all these different people from different walks of life coming together for just the greater good. And it's really, really amazing that my community has been so supportive.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, folks, you have great examples of the impacts of service just on this panel alone. And, I encourage people who want to make an impact, don't know how, just remember, there are dozens of other people in your community, in your school, in your friend group that want to make an impact and also don't know how. So just by being here, you're taking the first step. But if you take that second step, reaching out to someone, starting something, however small it is, you'll find that there are a lot more people around you that you'd expect that are willing to join you in that mission and, share that same desire that you have to make a difference. And I think that's what inspires me is, I may have taken the first step in starting Project 32, but the folks who are by my side and taking all the subsequent steps help me keep going. And, I'm beyond inspired by everything that people are saying on this panel in the global community. And I'm very excited to see what all the young youth listening to this or hearing this message are going to create. And, if you take the first step, a lot of other folks will follow you far more than you expect. And so you won't be doing it alone.
Well, thank you all for your answers to that. And again, I want to remind the audience that the King Center does have the Camp Now Leadership Academy, which is dedicated toward teaching 13 to 19-year-old students about nonviolence NV365, how to ingratiate the principles and steps of nonviolence into their life. They're in front of people that help them with graphic designing and business development, financial development. They also participate in the commemorative. There's a host of things that they do, and the whole goal is to help teenagers become global influencers. And so, again, there are plenty of resources to do stuff like that. Here, my final question, and we have 5 minutes, so if we could keep it to about 45 seconds per person. How has the pandemic especially affected your work, if at all? And do you feel that because of the pandemic that you've seen a bigger need for what you're doing?
I guess I'll start off. For Queensland, Brisbane, Queensland, we haven't had like we've had obviously coronavirus, coronavirus coming to our state, but it hasn't been that bad. We were only like in lockdown for like 4 weeks or so. But during that time of the pandemic, we did host a lot of, we still hosted events online that still like helped refugees and asylum seekers who were being affected by the pandemic. We had commissioners come on Zoom and talk to them how they can help get financial help if they were being affected by the pandemic. But yeah, that's about all. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I wasn't really that much affected by the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the pandemic actually improved my advocacy and it let me have a wider reach because I was doing a lot of in-person events before. I would go and I would give speeches. I would be on panels like this, but you would have to buy a ticket to go in, or you would have to pay for transport. And there were a lot of people who weren't able to attend. Also, because I do a lot of work within the disabled community, there were often times where it was very difficult to have a autism-friendly event. I mean, because that takes a lot of planning and it's not something that you can't just set up a Zoom call and send someone an invite. It's a lot more than that. And so I've been able to take part in more events and have a wider audience, which has been really helpful for my advocacy because it helped me get that message out there.
Yeah, I think the pandemic has definitely posed new challenges, but also new opportunities. Like I alluded to earlier, so it's a bit of context. I study computer science and political science here at Stanford. And so one of the things I learned how to do is how to code. And when the COVID-19 pandemic came about, officials in my home state of Oregon were saying Oregon's going to have a ventilator shortage of hundreds of ventilators, and we're going to need those. So one of the opportunities I had was to jump in on an entirely remote project with some engineers to try and design a ventilator that could be made cheaply and at scale. And I think there are obvious challenges to the pandemic, not being able to get together, not being able to, communicate directly in the way we were used to. But there are also opportunities to expand your reach, like Sienna was talking about. There are opportunities to collaborate with people from across the country and across the world. And so I'm just, I'm hopeful that this period of our history will be behind us fairly soon. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that there are new opportunities and new transformations that have been accelerated by COVID.
I think being on lockdown has helped me because I've gotten more time to have those conversations that need to be had with both my family, my friends, and also with people that I don't usually have many conversations with at all. Also, another way it's affected me is being on this panel event. It's been great to hear all your messages, all your advice, all your experiences. Because being the young one over here, it's pretty nice seeing what I can do.
Yeah, for me, the pandemic was definitely a shock. I mean, for everyone, right? As none of us had ever experienced something like that before. And, we were all sent home from school, 2 weeks break turned into the whole rest of the year break, turned into now this whole break and everything that's been going on, schools closing, restaurants, businesses, everything shutting down. It was definitely turning into this whole new world, sci-fi reality that none of us have ever seen before. But definitely closing and Nest for Us and stopping volunteering never ever crossed my mind because we know that there would always be a way for us to help those in need, regardless of what circumstances came our way. Especially now, it was even more important to continue serving people that we serve because they're already vulnerable populations, and now with this pandemic, they're even more at risk with complications of COVID. They already don't have homes and food and loved ones and all these things. And now they're having even more complications because of the pandemic. So it was even more important to go out there, of course, safely with masks and PPE and hand sanitizer and all that. Sure that their needs are being met and that they're staying safe and healthy during this crisis. And we've been actually really thankful to have expanded our programs like Avi and Sienna were talking about how we've actually gotten a lot more opportunities to expand virtually, right? We actually were able to get partnerships with an organization called Kids Against Plastic in the UK, courtesy of the Points of Light team, as well as partnerships in countries in Africa, Asia, Australia for leadership workshops, and our virtual tutoring that we transitioned from in-person to virtual, and got even more tutors and tutees and people attending and just hearing our messages and our stories. So definitely COVID has brought us a lot of challenges, but like Avi said, a lot of amazing opportunities to just connect with more people. And just seeing so many people come together, we're all alone together is something we like to say. We're all in our own homes, but we band together. We're going to fight through this together. And it's just really been amazing to see how everyone's stepping up during this pandemic to help those in need. Even more people have joined our volunteer family and gotten involved both online and safely in person. So I'm really thankful for that. And yeah, being on this panel, again, like Marcus said, it's just so amazing and inspiring to hear everyone's stories and their experiences from all over the world. It's so crazy how we can all come here and meet together with the power of technology. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And for Points of Light, again, and King Center for inviting me. So.
Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Esther, Sienna, Isha, Avi, Marcus, you all are all superstars in your own way. We are so thankful at the King Center for the work that you are doing. We're so thankful for the bravery, the courage, the willingness to step in and to serve. And if there's any way that we can continue to be a resource for you, if we can continue to be here for you in any way, please let us know. Again, I'm Cameron Friend. I oversee the youth and millennial engagement. So anything you need, just call me, text me. Whatever, however I can be a resource. I think that you all are exceptional. One of the things that I think is important for me to leave with you is each of you, like when I'm listening to you, you are the hope for the future. Anything, the promise of the world, the promise for a global community, the promise for the beloved community, all of it leans into you because you are the ones that are making this possible. You're the ones that are making this happen. And you are showing a tremendous amount of courage, a tremendous amount of courage. And so we at the King Center are so grateful that you have chosen to do what you are doing, and the world, not just your communities, the world at large is going to benefit from the work that you are doing. So keep going, keep pressing in, keep dreaming. Anything that you believe that you can do, do it. Make it happen because there are no limitations. There's no one telling you that you can't be great. There's no one telling you that you're trying to achieve too much. There's nobody saying to you. And if anybody is, you just remember this conversation, that there are no limitations to what you can do. So I am beyond excited for you all. And again, I want to remind everyone that we are having the Beloved Community Awards tomorrow at 7 p.m. live stream on all platforms. And again, Monday, January 18th, King Holiday Celebration. The commemorative service starts at 10:30 a.m. So look, the King Center is doing some amazing things. We have a great day coming tomorrow, a great day coming Monday. Look, we'll be here. We'll see you soon. King Center, we're closing out the summit. See you later.